chat this beautiful Wednesday evening, 6 o'clock Pacific time. I'm in California, so I am currently living in Pacific time zone. Happy to be here. Happy to see everyone in the chat. We got Desert Runner Rick, top of the chat, first to comment. I appreciate you, Desert Runner Rick. He says, missed the live stream last week, wanted to be first to say hi this week. Blessings to everyone. Blessings to you, Desert Runner Rick. Happy to have you here. Thanks for joining. We got Real Cruz in the chat. Happy to see you, Real Cruz. I know Real Cruz tries to make it. Sometimes he has to work, but he's here with us tonight, this evening. Real Cruz is here. Happy to have you. I mailed you a sticker, by the way. Real Cruz, it should be in the mail. You should get it soon. Diana Saylor says, good evening. Hello, Diana. Happy to have you here. Diana Saylor, the OG Nomad Brad soldier. Been here since day one. Happy to have Diana in the chat. Super Dave is here. Happy to see you, Super Dave. Happy to see John C., Robert Allman, DMC Vlogs. CB says, hey, Brad. Greens Cruisin' gives us a hand wave. Dave Hale says, lay down some knowledge on me. Kyle's Wild and Wacky World is here. What's up, Kyle? Happy to see you. David Coffey says, what's up? Arizona Online from East Coast, Canada. Feeling the frigid temperatures. Belize, watching from Belize. Happy to have you here. Real Cruz got the email. Cool. Happy to have everyone. So if you look at the screen, you can see we got the last little bits of this beautiful California sunset. I made the migration this morning from Yuma, Arizona, and now we're currently over outside of El Centro, California. We're on some BLM land, but it's actually it's a section of BLM called LTVA, which stands for Long-Term Visitors Area. And so this is a spot where you can stay for up to 6 months, I think. I think 6 months is the max, but you do have to pay for it. So it's the pays break down, the cost breaks down into different increments, but I paid $40 for 2 weeks to park here. And then they do have trash service, and they have a vault toilet, and there's also a hot spring here. So I'm definitely going to be taking a dip in the hot spring. Happy to be here. And if you look onto the live stream outside, you can see that's Scott right there, Scott Shaper. And that is his 18-foot Ford E450 box truck that he drove out here from Cincinnati, Ohio. And so Scott's a soldier, made a long commute, drove many, many days to get here, had a couple situations along the way, but Scott made it safely. So happy to have Scott here. I'm going to be doing the electrical work for Scott over the next few days. We're going to put 2,000 watts of solar on the roof, full electrical build out. It's going to be really nice. And then to the left here in the corner, you can see Sir on Dave's Ford E450 Econoline. So Sir on Dave is also with us. And then on the other side of Scott's rig is Sir on Dave's new rig. So Sir on Dave has a 16-foot box truck on a Kodiak chassis. So I'm also going to be helping Sir on Dave do some electrical. So we're going to be here for quite a while, you know, maybe several weeks to get all these rigs dialed in. But it's going to be fun. I enjoy electrical. And in the meantime, the guys are going to be doing other stuff on the build out. And so we'll try to capture some of that, maybe on the live stream next week. I just pulled in today, and both the box trucks are pretty much empty. So maybe on next Wednesday's live stream, we'll have a little bit of progress in the rigs, and so I can do a live stream maybe inside one of the rigs, and then I can kind of show you guys what we're up to. So that will be exciting as we make some progress. But just so you guys know, Nomad Brad is living up to the promise. We're doing box truck builds in the desert, and it's really cool that Scott was a subscriber. Scott was a subscriber that found my YouTube channel and then booked a consultation and then decided to buy a box truck and drive all the way from Ohio to California to, you know, have me do the electrical install. So super happy that the internet brought us together and I'm able to help more folks become nomads. And of course, I'm always excited to see people become nomads in box trucks. Box trucks are my favorite platform. So that's what's going on with me. Tonight we're going to be doing a Q&A session. There's nothing formal planned. So I think next week we'll try to do some build progress live stream, but tonight just a Q&A. So I'm just going to try to help answer your questions. We'll try to drop some knowledge on the chat here if we can. So if you guys have any questions, you can go ahead and send them in, and I'll try to just kind of monitor the chat. I'm going to go right now just through the stream and see what's going on. Also, I do want to give a shout out to Sir Dave. I'm currently using his Starlink. So I have my Connecten Internet router out here, and it actually, the speeds are not bad. It's actually good enough to surf the web, watch videos. I used it to go to Lowe's website and put together a build list for Scott, but it's just not good enough to live stream. So I definitely need to personally get Starlink for myself, and so I appreciate Sir Dave letting me hop on his Starlink for tonight, so we can make this live stream possible. Thank you, Sir Dave. Thank you, Elon Musk. I appreciate it. John C says he's fresh off a 3-day fast, and I had me some chicken, lettuce, onion, bell pepper, onion, and chorizo. Happy to hear it, John C. Happy to hear you're off the fast. I did a 3-day fast once. I did a juice fast, so it wasn't like a water fast. I was just juicing vegetables, and the first day wasn't too bad. By the second and third day, I was dreaming about cheeseburgers pretty heavy, but I did make it to 3 days, and it was good to do. I should actually do one again. Okay, so I'm going to go through your questions. I'm going to take down some notes that are already up here in the chat. Bandit wants to know about the batteries. So if you guys watched the video I put out Sunday, I installed that new Epoch lithium battery bank into this vehicle. So now I have like 11,000 watt hours, 11 kilowatt hours of battery power in here. Works great. Super happy with it. My solar system is a little undersized for the capacity of that battery bank, but I haven't increased my electrical consumption, so the bigger battery bank isn't really necessary, but it's just, I guess it's nice to have a little extra capacity. So if you come up on some cloudy days, then having that extra battery bank will kind of carry you through, hopefully, until the next sun break. I'm going to talk about 12 volt versus 24 volt battery bank because someone did email me that question after watching my last video. So I'm going to talk about that. And then Tim Fisher in the chat. Welcome, Tim Fisher. Happy to have you. Tim Fisher says, if I may ask, what are your average weekly costs when traveling? So weekly costs for van life, traveling. We'll talk about that. I'm still working towards my own box truck build. Nod Narb says, I hope you do a couple live streams during your next build. Yes, box truck still for sale. A couple people are more interested. It seems like interest has been picking up as the weather gets better. I kind of know winter is a bad time to sell box trucks because everyone's just hunkered down. And then as you get into spring and summer, then people start thinking about travel plans. And that's exactly what's been happening is I'm getting emails from people that are like, oh, I'm looking for a summer rig. So it's still possible the rigs that my current vehicle sells in the next few weeks. Who knows? And if it does, I'll be starting a new build. Audit Them says, give us a quick tour. Give us a quick tour of the truck on the inside. Audit Them, what truck are you asking for a tour of? Because my truck, I've done a ton of tours. It's all over my YouTube channel. If you guys watch my weekly Sunday videos, I mean, I cover most of the stuff. But if you have any specific questions, I'm happy to answer. Happy to help you out. CB asks if my rig is for sale. Yes, it is. We got Nomad King Gamer in the chat as admin. Hello, King Gamer. Happy to see you here. Happy to have your support. King Gamer's gonna kick people out if they're being disrespectful. But we have a good group of folks here. Most people here are super respectful, super kind. And so I don't think King Gamer's gonna have to drop the hammer, but he's ready. If he has to, he's gonna kick somebody out. Okay, budget. So House Stark says, what's the budget for the new build? We'll talk about that. Let's see. RVing with Bandit. Have you installed, are you aware of LifePo4 friendly auto generator starters? So the only thing I would say to that, Bandit, is they do make a LifePo4 battery that is rated for engine starting. So you can get an engine start LifePo4 battery. Um, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I haven't used any. I don't really know who makes them, but I know that I have seen them. I have seen them online. So I would just Google, because that's what you're looking for, is you're looking for a starting battery. Because starting batteries are rated to discharge a bunch of power all at once, but for a short period of time. Versus a typical LifePo4, like what we use for our electrical systems in our vans, they're meant for a deep discharge, but over a longer period of time. So like if you drain a starting battery for a long period of time, it'll kill it pretty quick. And then if you put starting loads on a deep cycle solar battery, it can also damage it. So you definitely want to try to get the right battery for the right application. Okay, let's go ahead and hop into the questions. And we'll just go from there as stuff pops up. Drop it in the chat, let me know. And looks like the sun is going down. We're looking at the last little bits of the sunset here in Eastern California. Okay, so first question that came in, someone wants to know about weekly costs for van life and traveling. And so this question comes up a lot. People want to know, also let me know really quick, guys, if my audio is too low, let me know. I can turn it up, but it looks good to me, but I don't want you guys to be struggling to hear. So let me know if the audio is good or if it needs to go up a little bit. People ask me a lot about the cost of van life. And so I was thinking about it the other day about how to explain it to people. And here's the thing with living in a van is when you're looking at your costs for van life, the only difference between living in a van or living in a house or an apartment is the cost of the vehicle itself and then your fuel cost. That's really it, because all the normal expenses you have as a human being on planet Earth, if you're going to have health insurance, if you're going to have a smartphone, a gym membership, if you're going to have subscription services, like if you have Spotify or something, all those regular living expense, those are all up to you. And those are going to be a case by case basis, right? So those are going to be different for everybody. If you have prescriptions you take or medications, that's all going to be the same. The only thing that changes when you live in a box truck is you're not paying rent, you're not paying utilities, and then any other fees that are associated like that with that. So like there's no rental insurance, you're not paying for garbage, you're not paying for home internet, right? So most people have home internet and then they have mobile internet like on their phone or on a laptop. So when you live in a vehicle, then you don't have home internet. And then when you're living in a vehicle, you are going to spend a little more on fuel, but that's really the only variable. Whatever food you normally eat, you're probably going to continue to eat that when you're living in a van. If you eat out, like I know van lifers that only eat fast food and that's just what they enjoy and that's what they're used to, so that's what they do. And then there's people like me that mostly make their own meals and I occasionally eat out. So going from a house to a van, it's pretty much the same thing. So the only difference really is the fuel cost. And so that's also going to vary depending on what vehicle you choose and what the fuel economy of the vehicle is. And that's also going to vary depending on how much you're driving. So if you're kind of staying in a central location and you're just driving a few miles here, like if you're staying in San Diego and you're going to drive 5 miles to the grocery store and 5 miles to the beach and 5 miles to Planet Fitness, then your fuel costs are going to be pretty low. But if you're doing a big road trip, and you're going to go hundreds of miles or thousands of miles, then that fuel is going to be a little bit more expensive. So that's really the only difference of living in a traditional home versus living in a vehicle, because most people still have to pay for transportation, right? Like if you're living in a house or an apartment, most people still have a car. So it might be more fuel efficient, but you're probably still paying for a car. You might have a lease, a car payment, and then you're still paying for fuel, you're still paying for car insurance, you're still paying for maintenance on that vehicle. Most people. Some people might take a bus or take Ubers or ride a bike, but I would say for most people, the only difference of living in a vehicle is that you're going to spend a little more on fuel. And when I say a little more, I would say a couple to a few $100s more per month. So you might spend, let's say you drive more and you're living in a van, you don't get good fuel economy. So maybe you're spending an extra $300 a month on fuel, but by spending 300 on fuel, you're not paying rent, you're not paying utilities. So when you balance out the costs, it's still way cheaper, right? It's still cheaper to live in a vehicle because you don't have those overheads of rent and utilities. So van life can be as cheap or as like high end as you want it to be. I know people that are on a super budget and they shop at the dollar store and they eat cup noodles and they're really on a low income. And then I know other people that, are on a higher income and they just kind of buy whatever they want. So just like the real world, right? There's people on a low budget and on a high budget. So for me, the only weekly cost I have is, groceries and fuel. And that's, the groceries are just, I probably spend 50 bucks every time I go to the grocery store if I go once a week. So that's probably 200 bucks a month on groceries. Maybe more, maybe 250 on groceries. So I hope that helps, but yeah, that's really the only cost of living in a vehicle. For most people, the only real cost is going to be additional fuel. And when you consider the stuff you're saving on, like rent and utilities, it's not that bad. So somebody else asked about, um, let's see, somebody else asked about the budget for my new build. So I haven't done a very good job of keeping track of my build costs on really any of my build outs, but I've kind of put together a list of the next build that I plan on doing in my Suzu 16-foot box truck, and I'm budgeting for about $15,000 to be the cost of all the materials and components. So everything, insulation, plywood, the solar, the electrical, the water pump, all the parts and pieces. So I'm planning on 15,000 for the build out, and then the vehicle that I want to purchase is going to be about another $15,000. I'm going to get a newer one. I'm going to get like a 2015 plus, 2015 or newer, a Suzu. And so the cost on those is about 15,000 ish. So all together, I'll probably be at about $30,000, $30 to $40,000 all in on the next build when you consider the vehicle itself plus all the add-ons for people who want to know. And if you were going to hire a builder, I don't know what labor would cost, but I would just assume labor on a build out is probably going to be like probably 15, maybe 20 grand for labor. It's all custom. Everything's a custom job. So it's a lot, it's time consuming, it takes a long time. That's my guess. I don't know. I'm not a full builder. I don't charge. that kind of stuff, for that kind of stuff. But I would say that's probably a pretty good ballpark. Someone's asking about insurance. What kind of insurance do you get to cover everything, or can it be insured? So in this vehicle, I only have liability insurance. So um, I don't have any full coverage. So if I total this van tomorrow, I don't get a penny from the insurance agency. Yeah, let me turn off this secondary camera. It's totally dark outside. So we'll drop that down. And I'll also kick on this light, get a little more light in here. Let's see. Let's see, what does this look like? Is this any good? Do you guys want to see this? I don't know. Okay, so your only option on insurance is you can get full coverage insurance, but you're really only going to be insured to the value of the vehicle. So like for example, this vehicle, the blue book on it is probably only like, I don't know, 10 grand or something. So you could only get insurance to cover 10 grand. There is some specialty insurance you can get where something vibrating outside, something heavy driving by. There is a specialty insurance you can get where they'll appraise your vehicle and then insure the value of that vehicle. So like this vehicle, if I got it appraised and they said it's worth, whatever, 50 grand, then you could get it insured for that amount. So that is an option for custom build outs. Because I understand if you put, 50 grand into a build, you want to protect it, especially if you're paying somebody else the labor to build it. Yeah, Pitter Patter, hello, I see you there. Thank you for dropping um, a chat and a contribution. I appreciate you. I see your question. I just haven't got to it yet. Pitter Patter asks, do you help build the entire vans or just solar? So I built all my vans myself. Like this van that I'm in right now, I built this whole thing myself. I've done 4. Oh, that's not very good quality. We're not going to use that second camera. I've done 4 vehicle conversions for myself. I have done 2 client builds, but it's not something I do anymore. It's too time consuming for me, and it's hard to do it. It's hard to do it when you're mobile. Some people do, like Mark from Wanderbox. He has made it happen, but just for me, I don't really want to do that. So all I do is electrical. That's it. That is all I do, electrical, solar. Okay, somebody emailed me and asked about 12 volt versus 24 volt battery banks because I have a 24 volt electrical system, but I use 12 volt batteries. I have 2 12 volt batteries connected in series to make a 24 volt bank. And so one downside of that is if one of the batteries goes out, then your whole battery bank goes down because you need 2 batteries to make a 24 volt bank. So that's a downside. And Sir on Dave mentioned that, and that's why Sir on Dave is using 24 volt batteries in his build out. 24 volt batteries were not widely available until really like about the last year or so. And so now like LI Time has a pretty good selection of 24 volt batteries. And there's a couple other brands, but a lot of the bigger companies like Battleborn doesn't make 24 volt. And Epoch just released a 24 volt version like a week ago. So back when I got the batteries I have now, those Epochs, they didn't even have a 24 volt battery available, which is why I have the 12 volts. But something I want to mention for people that are worried about the reliability is keep in mind for decades, people in full size RVs have been using 6 volt batteries in series to make 12 volt battery banks. So it's actually something that has existed for a long time, decades, and it's really not a problem, right? Like, yeah, occasionally you might have an issue with a certain battery, but it's just pretty rare. And so I've used 3 different sets of 12-volt batteries in this rig. I've never had a problem with any of them. Um, Somebody asked about a cell. Yeah, if you lose a cell, an individual cell within your battery, it's the same thing. That battery is kind of no good, and it'll bring down the rest of the bank. So Nod Narb is asking, what's a benefit for 24 volt besides wire size? So the reason I like 24 volt system is you can use smaller gauge wire. There's less voltage drop over distance, which is why you can use smaller wire. So like when you're stringing up all your LEDs, you won't have, like if you have an LED strip light, it'll be the same intensity from end to end. When you do the 12 volt LED strip lights, you'll notice like one end is brighter and then the other end is dimmer because the voltage drops off as you go down over that distance. So higher voltage means smaller wires. Additionally, it's more efficient because your solar panels most solar panels are going to be between like 30 and 50 volts. Most of the bigger solar panels are between 30 and 50 volts. And so you have to step that voltage down to charge your battery. And so the less you have to step it down, then the more efficient it is. So like a 12 volt battery bank charges at 14 volts. So if you have like a 40 volt panel, you got to step that 40 volts all the way down to 14 volts. But a 24 volt battery bank charges at like 28 volts. So it's just less, you have to step down the voltage, and so it's more efficient. There's less electrical waste. And the other thing I like about 24 volt is you can get a lot of appliances in 24 volts. So like you can get LED light strips, refrigerators, diesel heaters, water pumps. You can get all that stuff in 24 volt, so it runs directly off your battery bank. So that's the most efficient way to use electricity is to not have to change the voltage. So like when you run stuff through an inverter, you're going from 24 volt DC, inverting it to 120 volts AC. So there's a lot going on there that just you lose some efficiency along the way. So anytime you can just run an appliance directly off your battery voltage, in my case, 24 volts, then you're going to be most efficient. And so that's why I run my fridge, my LED lights, all that kind of stuff off my 24 volt battery banks. Additionally, if your inverter goes out, if you have an issue and the inverter fails, then you can still use anything that's running off your battery voltage. Yeah, anybody in the chat, this is a Q&A session, so I'm just trying to answer questions as I go. A lot of questions take time to answer, so you'll have to be patient. There's a lot going on. I don't know how many people are in here, but there's a lot, and the chat moves quickly. So you might have to post your question multiple times, or if you do super chat, then it gets highlighted. I'm not saying you have to pay, but I'm just saying if you do a super chat, it gets highlighted. It's easier for me to see it, but the chat is moving pretty quickly. But I am trying to go back and get through the questions here. And I usually go live for an hour to an hour and a half. So we got lots of time. Let's see what's going on. Audit Them says Isuzu does not let you enter from the cab to the back. It does not. No, I'm giving that up. That's a conscious decision I'm making. Okay. Robert says, can't you do a stated value policy? I don't know what. Oh, yeah, for the insurance. Yes, yeah, exactly. So you have to have, again, if you want to get like insurance for your build out, you have to have it appraised. That's the first step is you have to have an appraiser, and there are appraisers that appraise conversions. So you have to have an appraiser. They look at your vehicle, they value it, and then you get insurance against that value. I guess you could just do a stated value policy where you just say something is worth X amount. I suppose you could do that. I haven't heard of that though. Francis A says, I watched one of your videos about going to Bombay Beach. You inspire me. I went there last week. Happy to hear it, Francis. Happy to hear you went. Right now is a great time to go to Bombay Beach. Um, it's really active. There's a lot of people going out right now. They're doing a huge festival in a couple of weeks called the Biennale. And so if you guys at all are interested in going to Bombay Beach, you should go within the next couple weeks. There's a lot of people, a lot of events all throughout the day, activities, art displays. It's a really good time. It's a really good time to go to Bombay Beach if you guys are interested. I wanted to go, but I don't have time. But I wanted to go out for that event. It looks like a fun time. Um, Ant-Man says, "Do you know Dual X? He does van builds." I don't. No, I don't know Dual X. Misty Cunningham, how do we hire you for solar? Misty, you can email me. If you go to the description in this video, there's a link that says connect with me, and it has a link you can email me. It also has a link to my website. I'll put it in the chat, www.solairservice.com. If you go to solarservice.com, you can email or give me a phone call, and it all comes to me, and we can talk about what you need. Jeffrey is asking if I know Trent the Traveler. I do not. I've seen a couple of his videos, but I do not know him personally. I just recently got into the YouTube like 100K video club, so I feel like if I get a little more YouTube street cred, then he'll probably talk to me. Although, in all fairness, I haven't tried to reach out to him or anything, but I'm making my way up there, making my way up to the big boys. Miss Mimi says, watching from the Sunshine State. Where did you park? I'm currently outside El Centro, California, on BLM land. I am in a section that's called the LTVA, that is the long-term visitor area. So it's kind of a special section. You have to pay to stay here, but they offer toilets and trash service, and there's also a hot spring. And you can stay in one spot for up to 6 months, which is nice. All right, cruising down the chat. I appreciate you guys for hanging in, being patient. I'm only one man, and sometimes I try to explain stuff. Philip says, that's good to hear on the 24 volt. My Unimog is 24 volt, and I run two 12s in series. And it's tight in the battery box. Yep, you can get a single 24 volt, Philip, no problem. The original Don Julio of Tijuana says, since you're not going to answer my comment, I'm unsubscribing. You're not very helpful at all. I'm sorry to hear that, Don Julio. I'm so sorry. I hope you come back, brother. Reconsider. We miss you, Don Julio. Robert says, I was trying to find a brand of refrigerator, 6 or 8 cubic foot that's 24 volt. Anyone have any recommendations? Let's see. That is kind of a larger fridge size. What's going on here? Hold, give me a second here, guys. I'm wondering if they make the bigger ones in 24. Because when I talk about fridges, I'm just talking about the small stuff. I know they do make the larger stuff in 12 volt. 24 volt. Let's see what they have for a 24 volt fridge. 24 inches. DC. If you go to the larger style fridge, you might have to go 12 volt. See, like this little guy here, this is a combo 1224, but it's small. The one I have is 1224, but it's like 3 cubic feet. It's not large. And so they might only do the bigger ones in 12 volt because RVs are pretty much all 12 volt. Oh, here's one. Can you guys see this? Yes, you can. Unique. Here's a white 1224 volt fridge freezer. $1,600 though. That's a lot of coin. That's a lot of coin. But they do make one. What I would probably do, because you can get a pretty good deal on a 12 volt, I would probably do a 12 volt. And I don't want to scare people in any direction, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with doing a 12 volt fridge, right? You just, all you do is you get a small step down converter that'll drop your 24 volts down to 12 and then run it right into the fridge. So it's not like a huge deal, but here's a 10 cubic foot by Rec Pro, and this is going to be 12 volts. What did you say? 6 to 8. That's kind of an interesting, that's kind of in between. Most of the smaller fridges are like 3 to 4, and then the bigger ones are like on the 10-foot side typically. Although I think I did see some 8. Anyway, yeah, I mean, you can just do what I'm doing, right? Just hop on Google. Let's see if we type in DC refrigerator, what comes up. That's another part, is it's just kind of knowing how to search and like just seeing what comes up. Ten cubic foot. It looks like most of them are around 10. So basically, most of them jump from 4 to 10. All right, hopping back to the chat. Lilith says I need to speak to someone. Lilith, you can go to my website and send me an email or call me. Don't call me now. I'm in the middle of a live stream. We got, let's see, going back to the chat. I just saw, hold on. Dang, I got to go back to the top. All right. I'm still going down, guys. Okay, here we go. Hofferks, H.A. Ferks. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but I met this guy on Fiesta Island in San Diego. Happy to see you here. He says, I'm finally working on the electrical in my truck due to financial issues. A friend electrician of mine is trading me for tattoo work, but he has never done a conversion, so we're figuring it out. Happy to hear it, man. Yeah, this guy has, I think it was like a GMC Safari or Chevy Express box truck. Pretty big one. He's going to do a full conversion, and I think he's going to do tattoos inside his box truck. So that'll be a mobile home on wheels and tattoo studio, I believe. So yeah, man, happy to hear it. I don't mind, man. I mean, believe me, you're welcome to hire anyone to do the electrical. If you need help with stuff, reach out. I know I quoted you to do a full system design. I think it was like $1,000 or something. But if you have smaller things you need help with, like you're just stuck on something, you got a little this or that, I'll still help you out. And you can do, we can just do my like 30-minute consultation. I have a 30-minute consultation for $50. So if you like just write down a whole bunch of questions or a bunch of stuff you're struggling with, you know, for $50, I can just go down the list and knock out a bunch of your issues. So maybe that'll be helpful for you. You're welcome to do it if you like. Okay, what do we got? Did you hear SunPower went bankrupt? I did not. I did not. Outdoors Dreadhead in the chat. What's up, Dreadhead? Happy to have you here. Dreadhead converted his own shuttle bus. I met him for the first time at Schoolypalooza this winter. Absolutely a cool dude. I'll be excited to see him again. Francis A comes in with a super chat. Thank you, Francis. I appreciate it. Francis says, do you provide consultation for building a custom RV? Yes, I do. I do. If you go if you go to the description on this live stream, there's a link that says connect with me here. If you click on that, it'll take you to a page with all my links, and there's a thing you can click on to book a one-on-one consultation with me. AJ Scoggins in the chat. Hello, AJ. Happy to see you here. So AJ was asking about where we're going to do the build at. I was up in the air. I had no idea. I initially wanted to do the build in Lake Havasu, but I think Sir on Dave decided he wanted to do the build down here so that he didn't have to move around, because Sir on Dave's juggling 2 rigs, and so he didn't want to have to be, you know, every 2 weeks trying to relocate And so he wanted to try to find one spot to do the full build out. And I got to say, this is a beautiful spot. But so just so you know, AJ, we're not going to be doing a build in Havasu. Unfortunately, I miss you guys. We're going to be down here near El Centro, California. But the desert is open, my friend. If you and your girl want to come down sometime, make a little migration south, you're welcome to come down and stay with us. It's beautiful down here. There's lots of trees and like scenery. It's way, way, way beautiful compared to some of the other desert scenery I've stayed in. The Nomad Tim says, I was watching Van City live chat. There was over 1,000 people. This is so relaxed. I appreciate it. Alan says, do you claim a state on your income taxes? Yeah, I claim Arizona. Arizona's my home, technically. I use my dad's address. And so when people want to, like, people oftentimes ask, what do you do for an address when you go into van life? And so I would just say, find a friend or a family member that will let you use their address as a personal residence. I mean, most people on this planet have either a friend or a relative, right? That you're close enough to that will let you use their address for that. So that would be my suggestion. I'm using my dad's here in Yuma, Arizona. Nautilus says, I rented a 16-foot Isuzu last week from Enterprise. I love the huge window. Yeah, something I'm looking forward to on the Isuzu box truck is the front window is massive. And because you're sitting right at the front of the vehicle, you can just look out and like see the full road in front of you. So I really think for driving, I think it's going to be super scenic. Super scenic. And I'm excited to do a big road trip with all that glass in front of me. RVing with Bandit, I'm asking about an auto start that will sense when your battery is getting low. And auto. Oh, I misunderstood what you're saying. Yeah, they make those. They make those. Because I used to work in car stereo. And Viper Security made an auto start kit that when your battery voltage dropped below a certain set point, it would fire on the engine. So yeah, all you need is some kind of, I mean, I don't know exactly what it is, but you just need some kind of a relay system. Let's see. Low, let's see, battery, low voltage, auto start. Yeah, I know they make them. I guess the key is you would need some kind of an intermediary device that you could program. That would kick on. Here's something. eBay, low battery start, high battery stop control, auto start generator. This is probably exactly what you're asking about. Let's see what it says. Okay, this model is an automatic generator control module designed to automatically or manually start and stop the engine. It will indicate the operational status. Yeah. Remote start, AC alternate. Yeah. So basically you would get this unit and then you would just run the auto start to your generator. And then you would just have to program it probably for what voltage you want. But basically this is what you want, low battery start. So there's one on eBay. So you just got to poke around on the internet a little bit, but they definitely exist. And then you just have to know how you want to program it, right? So you basically need, it has to have two leads that are connected to your battery bank that are measuring voltage. And then it has to have an output signal that's going to be connected to your generator. So when it's sensing the battery voltage drops below your set point, then all it's doing is outputting voltage to start your generator. So it's a pretty simple device. You're not asking too much. It's a pretty simple device. But that's what you need. Donald Fraser has a question. Is your cab paint or wrap? It's vinyl. The whole cab, all the orange is vinyl wrap. And then all the signage on the side is also vinyl. I did a video at Schoolypalooza last year when Nomad Thad wrapped it for me. He wrapped the whole thing in the desert at Schoolypalooza. I pulled up in a fully white box truck and I left with a badass orange mobile sign on wheels. Nate C is asking about national parks. Changing our thoughts from building a van to a box truck. Yeah, Nate, you should definitely do a box truck. I mean, you've seen the videos. You understand why. I haven't gone to any national parks. I avoid national parks because I don't like crowds and I don't like people. Um, I I said that wrong. It's not that I don't like people. I don't like big clusters of people. And for the most part, the national parks are pretty busy. And like I don't want to have to wait in line to do hikes and like I don't want to have a crowded hiking trails. And so I don't go to national parks. But you can visit them. I have a lot of friends that have done national parks in their vehicles, so it's totally possible. Delay is asking how much I have to pay to stay here. So it's $20 for 2 weeks, or it's $80 a month. And then if you stay for like 6 months, it really drops down. It's like $180 or something for 6 months. So sometimes, depending on what you're doing, it's actually cheaper to buy the 6 month pass, even if you're not going to stay for the full 6 months. Pitter Patter says, you've rekindled my interest in building my own tiny home. I'm about to be Audi 5000 once my lease is up. Yeah, absolutely. You save so much money. You get to travel. You have the freedom to relocate. There's so many benefits. I absolutely recommend it. Miss Mimi says, thanks for reading my chat. Have a good evening. You too, Miss Mimi. You have a good evening. Enjoy yourself in Florida. Marcelo says, for my next build, I'm considering a 24-volt bank. Go for it. I like it. It's a good choice. Rainbow Pride says, we are traveling to California in May. Any words of advice about driving in the city? Um, California can be pretty hectic depending what cities you go to. Um, I would say the biggest thing is just don't be in a hurry, right? Have patience. That's what it comes down to, is have patience, because you're going to hit traffic, you're going to hit road construction, you might end up in like a dead end road or have to turn around. So the only thing I would say is just have patience and keep in mind when your rig is your home, you're never truly in a hurry because you have everything you need with you. Your entire home is with you at all times. So like if you're stressed out and you need to pull over and park and take a nap, watch a video, make some food, use the restroom, just don't be in a hurry. And as long as you can just understand that you have everything you need, it's all going to be fine. You don't have to get to this certain point by this time limit, then it takes a lot of stress off. And then the traffic is not as big of a deal, right? And so that's what I would say is just have patience. And another thing I would say is if you can try to avoid, God, my hair is a mess tonight. It's getting crazy. Try to avoid driving around in the cities between 8 and 10 a.m. 8 and 10 a.m. is morning commute traffic. So that's when everybody is driving, trying to get to work. So if you can avoid between 8 and 10 a.m. and then like 3:30 to like 6:30 is like the evening commute. So if you can be driving, if you have to go into the city, if you can be in between those two windows of time, you'll have the best experience. Outer Banks says, do I need at least $50,000 to live like that? 15,000 for a van and 15,000 to build. Um, I mean, the thing is, it's your own choice. This is choose your own adventure. You can spend as little or as much as you want, and your experience will reflect that. Keep in mind too, you don't have to build an entire vehicle before you travel. You can just do the bare minimums and then hit the road. And then as you have time and money, you can make upgrades. So there's no stress that you all of a sudden have to like run out and have everything finished right away. So let's go to Facebook Marketplace and let's look at box trucks. The good news is box trucks are very cheap right now in general. So like here's a look at this. Here's a 2014 Chevy Express 3500 cargo van. Oh, it's got way too many miles. 264,000. You don't want that. Yeah, you don't want that. Let's see what else we got. Let's see what else we got. I should say box trucks were really cheap. It looks like the prices may be going back up a little bit. Let's see what we got. Here's a 2009 for 15,000. You could get that. If you're on a budget, you can get something cheap. Here's a 2008 for 10,000. Oh, they have a whole bunch of them for sale. So 2008 to 2009, 15 and 17 foot box trucks, 160 to 180,000 miles, starting at 10K. So you can get something like that for 10K. 190,000 miles for 12K. Let's see if we can find something cheaper. What's this? That's crazy. Okay, so here's a deal. 2002 Ford E350, $9,500, 35,000 miles. Now that's dangerously low. I would want to double check and make sure that's legitimate. But if that's true, it looks like this says quality self-storage. So this might be a box truck that a storage company owned and they just lent it out to clients to move around their goods. But the odometer says 35,000. So that's a pretty good deal right there. For 9,500 bucks, you could buy this box truck right there. So 10,000. Now keep in mind for the build out, you don't have to go fancy. You could easily start a build out with less than $10,000 in materials. So I would say if you're just looking to get started and you're on a budget, you could get into a good quality box truck and have like a decent build out for probably 20 grand. So you don't need 50. You could start with like 20 grand and then add stuff over time. Daryl dropped a super chat. He says, "Don't worry about the haters. Awesome content." Thank you, Daryl. I appreciate it. I appreciate the support. I'm just a dude that lives in a van. You know, keep in mind this is not a professional operation here. This is just a guy living in a van, hanging out, trying to help you guys find your freedom and also live in vehicles. That's all this is. I'm volunteering my time to try to help you guys out. So I appreciate some patience on your end. There's a lot of questions, but I'm trying to work my way through them. Patty S says, "Where'd you get that beautiful picture you use as a background?" That's a good question. So if you guys go to Amazon and you type in tempered glass backsplash, you can find all kinds of stuff. All kinds of designs and photographs. Look at this one. This is cool. It's like a mountain scene. Just like that. Right? That's pretty cool. So just go on Amazon, type in tempered glass backsplash into the search, and you can look at all kinds of stuff. The reason I did this is because, so two things. First of all, you want to get the tempered glass. It's real glass, but it's the safety glass. So if it accidentally breaks, it won't cut you. It won't shatter into sharp pieces. But the real tempered glass is very scratch resistant. So I use this as a like a grease backsplash. So when I do a lot of cooking, it gets greasy, and then I just wipe it with a sponge and it cleans up really well. And the glass is super durable. If you get the plexiglass stuff, which is slightly cheaper, it scratches really easily. And so, you know, after a few cleanings with you know, a scrub pad, it'll get a bunch of scratches on it. So get the legitimate tempered glass, and it's only $100. I think it's pretty reasonable. and then you can choose. There's all kinds of different designs you can choose from. So it just takes some time to scroll through and see all the different stuff they have, and there's all different dimensions and sizes and shapes. So you can go through and pick what you like. Simplebox makes his first live stream in a few weeks. Happy to have you here, Simplebox. Welcome. He's got to be about done with his conversion by now. Okay, John Downs says unique solar fridge is 24 or 12 volts, 7 cubic feet. Let's look at that. At Home Depot. That's pretty cool. Let's go to Home Depot's website. Unique. TOR. Unique refrigerator. Show me something good, Home Depot. 10 cubic feet. 11 cubic feet. 11.7. 14 cubic feet. Here's an 8 cubic feet. 6 cubic feet. Oh, propane. I don't see it. It might exist. I just don't see it. Here's an 8 cubic foot. Is this... What voltage is this? Details. Hello. No, that's propane. That ain't it. That ain't it. Yeah, I'm not seeing the 8. I believe you. I'm sure they have one. I'm just not seeing it. What do they say? Is this one 24 volt? Product details. Yeah. 24 volt DC. 1,800 bucks. Anyway, so there you go. Unique refrigerator at Home Depot. Marcelo says, "Do you have an opinion on using thermostat controlled fridge or freezer?" Yeah, I don't bother. You can do it. I don't bother. So some people use a freezer because freezers have like thicker insulation, and then they use a thermostat to set the set point on it, so it's actually a fridge. It's just more effort than I want to go through, but yeah, you can totally do it. Okay, continuing down the chat. John says I have a unique and it's a killer. Very low draw. Thank you. I might get a unique for my rig. I've honestly never heard of them before tonight. But it looks like a good product and you guys are speaking highly of it. So maybe I'll get a unique for the next build out. Daryl says last weekend on my Harvest Host site, I tried using my 400 watt panels and they filled up my battery within half a day. Happy to hear it. Russ is asking if I travel anywhere else in the country or do I stay on the West Coast? I stay on the West Coast. I think the West Coast is so beautiful that I really like it here. I love spending winters in the desert Southwest, Arizona, Nevada, Southern California. And then in the summertime, I just love the Pacific Northwest. Oregon, Washington's so beautiful. And I grew up in Oregon, so I'm kind of like, I'm familiar with it. But I would like to expand my travels. And once I do my next van build, I do plan to travel more. I'd like to visit Idaho and some of the other states. But that's the thing is there's just so much beauty. You don't have to go that far, you know? You don't have to drive thousands of miles to find cool spots. There's cool spots everywhere. So I would like to expand my trip up into like Montana and Wyoming and Idaho, but I really don't have interest in going to the East Coast. Even Florida just doesn't really interest me, just being honest. So mostly West Coast, and occasionally I might go up to Idaho. Robert Allman says, thank you. You're welcome, Robert. Happy to help out. Do what I can. Try to help the people. Encourage more nomads. Ever had issues with the cops? No. I'm trying to think. Not really. I had one experience where I was parked in a really rich area in California, and I was in a bad spot. I was like parked on a residential street in like a pretty fancy neighborhood. And so one of the neighbors called the cops on me, and they came out and kind of like initially they were kind of jerks. I was in my last box truck but had the abundant sticker, and so I think they just thought I was like maybe a criminal or something because they were kind of jerks to me. They like, wanted my license and they were just being super rude. And then once they ran my license plate or ran my ID and saw that I have no criminal history, and then they looked inside my box truck, they were really nice to me. Like it was like a night and day switch. Like I think they thought they were going to run up on some criminal, but when they saw like I have a clean record and I have a really nice box truck, they were super friendly and they were like, "Oh, this city has an ordinance, no camping. If you go up, to this city, you can stay no problem." So, I have seen the nasty side of law enforcement. Um, but beyond that one instance, I've never had an issue with them really. And that was a spot I know I shouldn't have been in. Like I was, you never really want to park on a residential street in front of a house if you can avoid it, especially in like a really upscale neighborhood, because they're always on the lookout and they'll call the cops on you. All right, cruising through the chat. Gary says, city ordinance made it illegal to camp in my car. I told him I wasn't on public land. He got pissed and started to make up that the owner was walking their dog. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's just part of it. Sometimes you got to deal with some stuff. Dreadhead says, me and AJ are going on 3 weeks in the same spot, bro. Happy to hear it. I'm happy to hear Dreadhead and AJ are hanging out. They met for the first time at Schoolie Palooza, and we all got along super well. It was a super nice, fun nomad circle out there, and I'm happy to see the relationships are continuing beyond Schoolie Palooza. That's a testament to, good folks get drawn into the channel. Because as nomads, we can pick up anytime we want and move. So if AJ or Dreadhead weren't liking each other, they would just drive away. But they're not. They're hanging out together. So it's good people, good vibes, keeping it going. Jeffrey Petty asked how I get my mail. So you can get a mailbox at ipostal1.com. And it's like mail forwarding, and you can have your mail forwarded. They have locations all over the country. It's like $10 a month, and you can receive packages. I received my e-bike to a Staples like store through iPostal One, so that's a good choice. I like to use them. CBL Daddy says, for one person, what size of live van or truck you recommend? For one person, I mean, I have the 12-foot box truck. I love it. It's super roomy. I think this is super comfortable. It just depends on how big the person is and how much space you need. But I think this is a good size. A 12-foot box truck is pretty comfortable. Tom says you got to come to Seattle. Yeah, I've been to Seattle. One of my favorite spots is the Pacific National Rainforest, which is up above Seattle, up in the northwest. It's beautiful up there. I'm not a fan of big cities, honestly. Seattle's cool, but I probably wouldn't spend too much time there just because it is a big city. I like to be out in nature when I can choose so. Donald Frazier says, looks like I need to go back to the early videos. Yeah, you can, man. There's a lot. It's hard. I have so many videos. There's a lot of good info in there. But yeah, the question you asked earlier, I have a video on that. I have a van life expenses video on my channel where I dive into all my monthly expenses. I did two comparisons. I did 1 month living in Austin, Texas, just living locally. And I also included a multi-thousand-mile road trip from Texas to New Mexico to Oklahoma back to Texas. So if you guys want to see a breakdown of what my fuel was, what all my expenses were, you can go back and look for my box truck expense video. Jonathan says, how can I get a 30 amp plug inside the travel trailer so I can plug a solar generator from EcoFlow? Um, all you need to do, well, you basically need to run a 30 amp plug from your EcoFlow into your shore power. So you'll have to probably drill a hole somewhere in the floor to get the cable outside if you want to have it set up permanently. Uh, if you, I mean, otherwise, if you just want to set the solar generator on the ground outside next to your shore power, you can just plug it in with your regular plug. But if you want to have the solar generator permanently inside and then you want to have it connected, then yeah, you'll have to drill some holes, brother. Is it a service I provide? Yes, if you happen to be in the area. That's a pretty small job. I wouldn't be able to travel for that. Nate C says, thanks for answering my question. One of my favorite YouTube channels. I appreciate you, Nate C. Happy to hear it. Bandit says, thanks for the great videos. Will says, is Nomad Thad's pricing reasonable, and do you have his contact info? Yeah, he's super affordable. He does work on the side. I don't want to say what he charged me because I don't know. He might have given me the extra homie hookup, but he's very, very affordable compared to like a vinyl wrap shop, and he does good work. Um, I only contact him through Instagram. That's the only way that I know how to reach him. So that's what I would say for you to do. I don't even have his cell phone number. Oh, the funny thing is, a lot of my friends, like in the van life community, I only communicate through Instagram. I don't even have their phone numbers. So you could try to add him on Instagram and talk to him that way. Is this him? Yeah, this is him. So his YouTube channel is Nomad with two D's underscore Thad with two D's and then an underscore. And that's what his profile picture looks like. And there's some pictures of some work that he's done. Super good guy. He's mobile. The thing is, though, right now, I think he's in Illinois. I think he's in Illinois, and I don't think he's traveling too much right now. I think he's just kind of hunkered down, making some money. Um, but if you, depending how far you are from him, it still might be worth it to drive out there just because you'll probably save a few grand versus what a shop will charge you. Shops charge quite a bit. Wheeler says, why is your hair so fluffy? Dude, I have no idea. This is just what it does. This is just my natural hair. Like, I don't use product. I don't use gel. I don't use pomade. It's just, this is just what it does. It's natural. It's all natural, baby. Spicer says box trucks in Minnesota are high-priced rust buckets. Yeah, I agree. I would definitely recommend buying a vehicle from the West Coast if you can. Or Arizona. The desert Southwest also is a good spot to buy box trucks. Yeah, I wouldn't buy a 6-liter diesel engine, that's for sure. Yeah, Class C RVs are really cheap, guys. I mean, when we're talking about pricing, I'm talking about buying a box truck and then converting it yourself. It's not cheap. Like, understand that. It's not cheap and it's not easy. If you guys, oh yeah, look at this. Here's Hufferks, the guy we were just talking about that's doing his own conversion. He's in San Diego van life. So this is his rig, GMC Savannah, and looks like he's doing the insulation. Looks good. Putting up some panel board. Heck yeah. If you guys want to get more into the community too, join the Facebook pages, like the van life Facebook pages and the box truck conversion pages. And it's a great way to connect with people, get ideas, and just kind of share what's going on. Okay. But what I was gonna say is, yeah, Class C RVs are cheap. If you guys just want the cheapest way to be comfortable as a nomad, I would say just buy a used Class C RV. I mean, look, here's a look at this. And they have low mileage typically. So here's a 93 21 foot Ford. Now that's kind of older, but the interior doesn't look too bad. It's pink, so it's for a lady, or you could repaint it. But 21 feet, 1993, $7,500, and it only has 109,000 miles. So, like, that's cheap. I mean, if you bought that, you don't have to even build it out. You just throw on a couple solar panels and paint it, and you're done. So, understand Class C RVs are way cheaper, but I don't, I want to customize my own thing. That's why most people do builds, is because either they want stealth or they want to customize it. If you get a Class C RV, there's zero stealth. Everybody knows exactly what's going on when they see that vehicle. With my vehicle, I feel that it looks like a commercial truck, and so I think I have a pretty good stealth factor. But if you guys are looking for the lowest cost, easiest to get into, you can just get a Class C. Here's a newer one. Here's a 2004 for 15.5, 26 feet long, um, only 65,000 miles. It looks very clean. So something like that, I mean, it's only 15.5, but you don't have to build it out. It's done. Under 100,000 miles, you're probably going to want to paint it, but it's roomy, it's spacious. So understand that. If you guys want the quickest, easiest thing, just buy a used Class C RV and you're on your way. Is truck or van life practical in Las Vegas? Yes, absolutely. Um, I mean, I lived in my box truck in Austin, Texas during the summer. It was 105 degrees with humidity. So Vegas gets hotter, like Vegas might hit 115, but they don't have humidity. So dry heat is easier to maintain your cool temperatures in. The key is you have to have a ton of solar and you have to have a big mini split. So as long as you build your system properly, you can live in Las Vegas. You have to have a ton of insulation too. So it takes some strategy, right? It takes some strategy, but you can absolutely do it. Dang, Nomad Tim says Desert Drifter passed away. So Desert Drifter was kind of a nomad, not really a no, well, kind of a nomad, but he did a lot of hiking and camping, travel videos, and he got hit by a drunk driver in a car a few weeks ago, and he was in the hospital for a traumatic brain injury, and he officially died today. So all of our thoughts and prayers go out to Desert Drifter. Sorry to hear that. He seemed like, I didn't know him personally, but he seemed like a super nice guy. And so I'm sorry to hear that. And I think he had either a girlfriend or a wife he's leaving behind. Hopefully, no children. So it's unfortunate. Unfortunate when that happens. And but he was in like a car or a small SUV. I bet if he was in a full size vehicle like a box truck, he probably would have been okay. I saw photos of the rig. The rig was absolutely crumpled up. But when you're in a big box truck up off the ground, they're pretty safe. And they're super heavy, right? Like when you have two vehicles colliding, the law of physics are that the heavier vehicle with the most mass is going to push the lighter vehicle with less mass. So I'm driving down the road pushing 12,000 pounds. So any car SUV that I hit, that other vehicle is going to get impacted far more severe than I am. So, you're in a big box truck or a Class C RV, you're going to be a lot safer in an accident. Okay. Lots of questions in the chat, guys. I'm not going to be able to get to all of them, but I'm going to just do my best here. No Worries Van says, I just got done installing my solar panels on the roof of my van. I have two 200 watt and two 100 watt panels, all Renogy. I got the MC4s, but cannot get power. Yeah, so you're going to need a voltmeter to test it out. That's the first thing, is you're going to have a voltmeter to figure out what's going on. If you don't have a voltmeter, you should own one. Everybody that lives in a vehicle should really have one because it's good for troubleshooting. And you know, when you're living in a vehicle, you need to be somewhat self-sufficient. You have to be able to troubleshoot some stuff on your own. You don't want to be in a situation where every time there's a little hiccup, you got to go drive into a mechanic. It's not practical. You need to be able to help yourself. It doesn't have to be expensive. Here's one on Amazon for $14. So, no worries, Van. If you have a voltmeter, I can help you. If you don't have a voltmeter, get a voltmeter and then I can help you. AJ Scoggins says mini split is life for any warm states. I agree with that. Toasted Jackets says Phoenix is hotter than Vegas. I agree. Phoenix does get hotter. It was super hot last summer. All right, cruising down the chat. Christy says AJ's been crazy busy out on our rig and making panels for our rig. We should have summer solar panels up soon. Happy to hear it. They're getting their solar dialed in. AJ made a pretty cool sliding roof rack. Excited to see it in full force. No Worries Van says I'm connecting them to my Blue Eddy. I got the correct connectors for it. Yeah, you need a voltmeter, and then I can help you. Because I hear a creature outside. We need to be able to check what the voltage is coming in from the panels, and you can figure out if something's not connected properly. Also, we can see if the voltage that's coming in is the proper, it falls within the Blue Eddy specifications. There's also a possibility polarity is reversed. Positive and negative could be reversed. We can determine all that with a voltmeter. Keep in mind, guys, most of the problems people have with equipment is installation related. It's not equipment related. A lot of people, and I'm not picking on No Worries Van here, but I'm just saying in general, when people come up to an issue with stuff, their go-to is they blame the equipment. But keep in mind, all this stuff is engineered and it's engineered to work properly. So usually if there's a problem with your equipment, it's not the equipment. It's something that has been done with the installation or setup of the equipment. AC200L is a good unit. I'm sure it's just a problem with the wiring. You got to get a voltmeter. The Simple Box has been stealthing in my 14-foot U-Haul for a week now, and the biggest issue has been the fan noise on my fridge keeping me awake. There you go. Simple Box is doing it. He's out there living in his conversion. Happy to hear it, brother. One thing to keep in mind, I should mention, is Nomad Life is a little bit noisier. Depending where you're parked at, there's going to be some street noise. You're going to hear some people outside walking by. Um, like Simple Box says, you're going to hear your refrigerator kick on from time to time. So it's definitely an adjustment period if you're a light sleeper. I've always been a heavy sleeper, so it was no problem for me. But if you're a light sleeper, it might take some adjusting to get used to. You might try some earplugs or some earmuffs. You might try some noise canceling headphones. You might try falling asleep to some like noise canceling ambient sound, like put on like a sleep audio station with some noise canceling headphones. You'll get it figured out, but there might be a transition period if you're a light sleeper. All right, moving through the questions. Moving through the questions. Looks like AJ's trying to help out. No worries, Van. Yeah, it might be a wiring issue. They might not be connected properly. Van Life Meow has some good box truck build content. Never heard of them. Is that on YouTube? Van Life Meow. 21,000 subscribers. Oh, yeah, yeah. I recognize this thumbnails now. Yeah, this guy, Van Life Meow, if you guys want to watch a build series, I haven't watched his stuff. I don't know what his quality of work is. It looks decent. So if you want to watch how to do a conversion, it looks like he's got some pretty informative videos. So if you're looking for something to binge watch to see how a box truck is done, you might go and check out his channel. Looks pretty good. 21,000 subscribers. Help him out. Okay, what else we got in the chat? Arvine with Bandit says you can't even redo the bathroom in a house for 15K. Absolutely, I agree with you. RIP Desert Drifter. Yeah, I agree. RIP, brother. See you on the other side, man. Someone asks if I use a portable portable generator. I do not. I only do solar power. I have a lot of solar and I just don't use that much energy. The thing you guys will realize is once you move into a vehicle, you don't use that much energy. Like you have LED lights. I cook a meal a couple times a day. I watch a TV for a couple hours at night. That's it. And then my fridge runs. That's pretty much it. If it's super hot in the summer, I run the air conditioner. But my system was designed to support all that stuff. So if you design, and that's why design is important. You want to design the system so that you don't need a generator. That's the goal, right? Free energy from the sun, no noise, it's silent. Outdoors Dreadhead says the beeping from the all-in-one get on my nerves. Yeah, you can turn that off, Dreadhead. If you look at the instruction manual, and you go down to like the programming menu, you can turn off all those beeps. I turned mine off because I got sick of it. So I agree with you. Yeah, turn those beeps off, bro. Dreadhead says I built my whole rig for 15K, including the cost of the rig. Yeah, so there you go. You guys, you don't have to spend a lot of money on a build. You can go lower budget. Doesn't have to be expensive. Box trucks in general are more expensive than shuttle buses. Dreadhead's in a shuttle bus. And I did build a shuttle bus two rigs ago. So yeah, Dreadhead, go to the back of the manual where it has all the programming set up, and there's on off for the beeps. So you turn that off, brother. Um, oh yeah, shuttle buses. I was gonna show you guys really quick. Now I gotta say, if I wasn't gonna do a box truck, a shuttle bus would be my next choice. I still prefer a box truck, but I think, and for some people, I think a shuttle bus is actually a better choice. I'll explain why. First of all, shuttle buses are cheaper in general. There's no mileage listed on this one. I was trying to find something with mileage so we can compare. 160, 83K, 2009. What's the mileage? 167. That's a little high. I'd like to see less mileage. I hate when they don't list the mileage. Like, it's going to be high when they don't list the mileage in the description. Like, you're not fooling anybody. You ain't fooling nobody. What's this? That's high. That's cheap. What's going on with this one? I don't know. Okay, let me just tell you guys my thoughts on shuttle buses really quick. Um, we'll just go up. We'll just use this one as an example. It's high mileage though. But anyway, this one's 4,800 bucks, 220,000 miles. I wouldn't recommend it. But the thing with the shuttle bus is, in general, they are cheaper than box trucks. The ceiling height is typically about 6.5 feet, so they're not as tall as a box truck, but they're going to be taller than most vans, and they're taller than the school bus conversion, the schoolies. So like the short school buses with the metal roofs, shuttle buses are taller. The other benefit with the shuttle bus is the windows and the door is already installed. So it's a very quick build. Like if you look at the inside of this shuttle bus, because the doors and windows are installed, all you really would need to do, if you want to do a minimum build, all you have to do is throw in a bed and some electrical and a sink and you're done. You don't have to do a bunch of crazy insulation and wall panels and cut in windows and cut in doors. So if you're looking to do like a semi-custom, like you don't want to buy a Class C RV, but also you don't want to do a ton of labor on the build out, then I think a shuttle bus is a good choice. So that would probably be my next recommendation. I think a shuttle bus build is going to be better quality than an RV. The main problem I have with a Class C RV is that they're very poorly built. Everything is cheap and thin, and like all the wood is thin wood. And when you do a shuttle bus build out, you can choose your own materials. And so you can do something that's better quality. So this is a little bit better. This is a 2018, 169,000 miles, still a little bit high, but they're only asking 10 grand for it. And that's a little bit shorter. So like for a single person or even two people, that'd be a good size. That's probably about about a 12 to 14 foot living space. So something like that would be a good rig to, think about. But anyway, that's my thought on the rigs. Box truck is my favorite. After that, I would choose a shuttle bus. And then after a shuttle bus, I'd probably go with some type of a high top van. Transit probably would be my next choice. Okay. All right, guys. I think I'm going to wrap it up. We've been going for an hour and a half, and I'm tired and hungry. I'm going to make some food. And I think I got to most of the questions. I went to the end. I feel like we pretty much answered everybody. And so I appreciate everybody that tuned in and asked questions. I appreciate your patience. I appreciate everybody taking time for their questions to be answered. I feel like we pretty much got to everybody. I'll be releasing a video on Sunday that'll have some footage from this build out. And then tune in next Wednesday for the live stream. And I'm going to try to do a live stream from one of the box truck builds. So maybe we can show off Dave's box truck or Scott's box truck, and we can talk a little bit more in depth about build out and materials and kind of, get more nuts and bolts on the conversions. So tune in next week, next Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific. And I'll see you guys there. Thanks for tuning in. This is Nomad Brad signing out. Peace.